there was a number of comments basically accusing me of being woke. And if anyone has watched a short history of these 2-year podcasts, you probably find that I'm one of the least woke members of the panel. But anyway, I think there was a little bit of a confusion, and I just prepared something that I'd like to read out because I think it's important to kind of set the record straight. Many would say, don't read the comments, don't worry. But I think all of us kind of do care about what the audience thinks. We're trying to create a new show. We're trying to be a voice, and always, and one thing that I always want to maintain is that I'm open to changing my views on things when I feel that there is a better way to perceive the world. So anyway, I'll read what I prepared, and then you guys can talk about it or say what you will. So I read the comments from last week's episode, and apparently because I'm against the government banning the burqa, I'm woke, I'm naive, and I don't understand the culture. Most comments, in my opinion, however, are confusing two very different things: what I dislike with what I want to make illegal. Let me provide some examples. I think that feeding a toddler a steady diet of processed sugar is bad parenting. Heart disease and obesity kill more people than terrorism ever will. Feeding children processed foods and junk food every day arguably is child abuse, but I'm not asking the government to raid your fridge or ban Cadbury. I hate what alcohol does to parts of society. Alcohol is the number one fuel for domestic violence. It destroys more families and leads to more abuse than any piece of clothing ever could. But if I suggested we bring back prohibition and ban beer, you'd probably all laugh me out the room, right? I'm against my kids using social media until they are 16 because I think parts of social media is a toxic sludge, but I'm against the government banning it. In my opinion, the trap that we are walking into, if we give the government the power to ban clothing because it represents oppression, we are handing them a loaded gun. You could say that we already have. Today, you want them to ban the burqa because you think it's oppressive. Fine. But tomorrow, when a woke government decides that the Christian cross represents colonial oppression or the Australian flag represents racism, we're close on that one, you won't have a leg to stand on because you already gave them the power to police symbols. We're already seeing this in the UK, which is perhaps ironic. As I clearly stated last week, if you have an issue with certain types of peoples, any peoples, the discussion should center on who we need more of in this country and blocking those we don't at the gate. Finally, banning the burqa might not be a sign of strength. It could perhaps be a sign of weakness. Are we so insecure about our Western values that we have to use the force of the state to make our feelings known about what we think is acceptable in this great country? Let me ask, by banning clothing, do we really extinguish the oppression and the ideology behind it? When you ban something, you don't make it disappear, you just drive it underground or into the home, where it festers and grows. History is littered with such examples. If you believe Western values are superior, and I believe they are, then we need to have some confidence in them. We win by having a better culture, better ideas, and more freedom, not by shutting down the bad ones and not by becoming the very thing we hate. That isn't freedom. It's just the other side of the oppressive coin.
Oh,
that's it.
Interesting. I think that was slightly different to what you texted us in the pre. Did you modify that at all?
I made some changes. Yeah.
You want to throw some curveballs.
Now you fucked me up because I had responses to some of the things you wrote in the previous one.
Let's just start by a comment that Eric and I got, that we're uniquely very underqualified and shouldn't be commenting on politics at all, full stop. In other words, shut up. So we'll over to you, Adam.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, this whole thing, I am not a political guy either. I feel strongly about certain things, and this happens to be one of them. Let me start by with one response that I had prepared, but you removed between now and in the prep for the thing. One thing that you said in the, previous version that was sent to us is that you can't ban an ideology, and you've removed that because maybe because you realize you actually can ban an ideology, and many countries have banned the ideology, specifically the burqa. There's more than 25 countries globally that have actually banned the burqa. And I'll just give you some of them: China, France, Belgium, Denmark, Switzerland, Norway, Netherlands, Latvia, Turkey, many, many others have actually banned the burqa. And it's been challenged in the European Court of Human Rights and been upheld under challenge as a breach of human rights. Australia, on the other hand, is not doing that. The UK obviously did not do that. Many other countries are not doing, but many are considering doing it. So I think it's a little bit disingenuous when you conflate, banning Cadbury's chocolate in a fridge with banning a device for specifically for the protection of the women, under the guise that men should not have to take accountability for their sexual impulses if they are able to see more than, the most extreme versions of the burqas can't even see the eyes, that the women should be covered so that men can escape accountability for their sexual impulses. This is not a can of Coke. This is not a can of Coke. This is not, this is a archaic control device invented by weak, pathetic men who are unable to take responsibility for themselves.
I don't have any disagreements with those points that you make.
So and the other thing that's deeply concerning to me about this is, and I think many Australians, is that Western ideals and democracy in most instances are superior to the alternatives in most instances, and that's just evidentiary, right? But the one weakness of Western ideologies and ideas in democracy is that it's a democracy, and we are now starting to see that the other way to have a war, a Cold War, if you like, is to infiltrate power, immigrate people, have lots of babies, take office. And I think a lot of Australians are concerned about what's happened in the UK, where of 12 mayoral districts, at 1.9 were led by Muslim leaders.
Yeah.
Now, when Muslim leaders make the rules, what is to stop them from saying, well, you now live under Muslim rule, and in our beliefs, women, it's time you cover up, and we're going to legislate for it because we have the power to do that. And what then? What happens when we cede power through the flaw in our system? Where in the Muslim world have you seen a minority thrive under Muslim rule?
Look, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with any of your points. I think.
So why would you? So why would you not ban the burqa when it specifically stands for a get out of jail free card for men to do what they want to do to women if they don't wear it? Why would you not make that an illegal device?
Well, again, I think
it's not clothing; it's a device. Let's be clear about that.
I think it's a band-aid solution to a larger issue. And from what I can tell, and based on the explanation that you've spent the last couple of minutes saying, which I agree with most of what you've said, is that the problem is not the device. The problem is the ideology behind the device. So if you have an issue with the ideology, then again, like I said last week quite clearly, the discussion needs to be centered around who we allow and who we need in this country in order for this country to thrive, and to block those that we don't at the gate. You're intelligent, Adam, and I cannot honestly believe that you think that by banning a device, as you call it, that you'll be able to change any of the people behind the devices' minds on how they view and see their world.
I don't
It's
think
not.
they will.
I doubt it. I don't
No,
believe you. I don't believe you honestly believe that.
I don't believe for a second that by banning the burqa, you're going to convert Muslims to some other form of belief.
Again, we keep going back to banning the burqa. I'm against government intervention and bans on things like this in general, right? Whether I disagree with alcohol, Cadbury, processed foods, free speech, I'm kind of against government.
What about Mark? Okay, why not make rape legal? That's banned.
Because it's a crime, Adam.